Welcome to Biztech Startup Show, where we feature startup companies across industries as they build and scale their businesses. Today, we feature Fefifo out of Malaysia, an agri-tech startup pioneering digital standardized farming in ready-to-farm modern farm spaces called co-farms. Now, to tell us more about Fefifo today, we have Kelveen, its CEO and co-founder, as well as Chris Fong, its co-founder and chief strategy and innovation officer. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank
Hi,
you.
thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having us.
Now, gentlemen, can you start by giving us an overview of what Fefifo does and your entrepreneurial journey so far?
So in a nutshell, Fefifo is trying to pioneer co-farming in Southeast Asia. In fact, we see ourselves as a first of its kind Agtech company that's trying to pioneer this new world model for sustainable, profitable smallholder farming, not just in Southeast Asia, but globally. So what essentially co-farming is about is that we are, providing digitalized, standardized farming in ready-to-farm modern farm spaces. So agripreneurs can easily start their commercial farms in our spaces by renting a pre-fitted office, where all the infrastructure and systems for commercial level growing is already there, and they use our proprietary digital platform which will govern the entire seed to sale process. And at the end of their harvest, they sell to guaranteed buyers.
Now, Kelveen, you have anything to add to that? What was your entrepreneurial journey like in terms of setting up this business?
Actually, it all started in the beginning where me and Chris are longtime friends. So we've always known how we want to do something together. But then it's only in 2018 when I exited my previous company. Oh, I was a 20-year-old entrepreneur. Back in 2001, I had my first company that eventually sold to WPP, one of the largest media company in the world.
I see. So, what company was that?
It's called Yoke, and it was renamed recently, I meant 10 years ago, Grey Digital. So I was the regional CEO for Grey Digital in Southeast Asia. So that was, we sold it in 2010, and I exited in 2018. That's where actually in the last few years already, we were exploring what to do next already. So because I'm based in Singapore, but I have a lot of friends and family members in the agriculture supply chain back in Malaysia.
Okay.
So I got friends doing composting, a late uncle was selling nutrients, and I got two very good friends were doing smallholder farming up in Gotong Jaya. Doing the vine ripened tomato. Those are the ones that really inspired me and Chris to start Fefifo. We were there when they opened their farm in Gotong Jaya and until the day they closed. So all the problems that a smallholder farmer faced, that's what inspired us to try to solve the problem. Yeah, so that's how it all began. That was about 2018, was it, Chris? Yeah, we started flying into Malaysia and meet them, really lock ourselves up in an Airbnb, right, to really find out what's the problem that the smallholder are facing. That's how co-farming as a solution was conceived. Yeah. So the two co-farming smallholder farmer friends, they have joined us now full-time also since they closed their farm.
I see. So one of the interesting things then for both of you is this, I'm sure that's what also investors had confidence in. You've actually gone through the journey and the learnings already. You've actually studied then, what the challenges were, and then you're basically executing based on those learnings.
Yeah, yes. It was more like a need-based solution. Yeah, they needed that to succeed. So we're looking at what the smallholder farmers face, right? They know how to grow things. So our friends, they have, this is not their first farm, by the way. In the past 10 years, they have farms in different states, in growing different crops from highland to lowland, greenhouse to open farming, all in fertigation, hydroponics. So they've seen it and done it. But why are they still not profitable? That's a very big question mark.
And what were the key things that you all found from that exercise? Again, it's a journey to find the product market fit, to identify the problems and then come up with the solutions. What were your findings?
A very big overview for me. They are farmers, but they don't know, they're not businessmen. Because farming is a business, right? So a lot of the business problems they don't know how to solve or they never anticipate. Budgeting, finance management, and a lot of the ancillary so-called roles that you need to play as a business owner. Yeah, what do you think, Chris? Yeah.
I would expand on that to basically, just showcase Fefifo value chain solution as effectively all the points that we have identified a smallholder requires help in. So from the moment they join us, they require some help in terms of a pre-harvest support loan for working capital. They have no access to modern infrastructure like greenhouses or crop systems like fertigation or hydroponics, which are very expensive. And most times, even if they can qualify for working capital loans from say Agrobank, they're not likely to get the millions of dollars of loans to say buy a greenhouse or deck up the entire 1 acre in terms of crop systems. From there, they also need help in terms of a commercial level growing protocol, training on how to use these commercial systems. Like what Kelveen said, a lot of professional help in terms of the working processes around a farm, things like your finances, your inventory management, your logistics, etc., etc. And most importantly, when you're done growing, who should I sell that harvest to? So essentially, Fefifo's entire seed to sale value chain that we provide our entrepreneurs involves all of this. They come in, they get a loan if they need help. They already have a ready built space for them to grow in. They grow on our digital platform that helps them with their finances, their inventory, how to grow, what to do, how to manage their workers. And at the end of the day, when they're done harvesting, they sell to pre-established buyers that have been established by us.
Actually, Brian, that's one of the key insights that I wanted to add on, that you cannot fix one problem that the smallholder has and expect the other one to fix itself.
Yes.
So that's one of the biggest ones. We need to provide a value chain solution that Chris was explaining earlier.
That's right.
Okay, and I think that's one of the big things that then you help that whole process is, in fact, you vendor finance. You actually help them in terms of setting up as well. You said you provide, I think, initial capital for them until they
for the first cycle,
right?
Yes. For the first cycle, then after that, the way we have built the financial models around the crops that we accept, cycle on cycle, the crop revenues, the crop cash flows is able to support themselves. So all they need is really just the first working capital.
Okay, so I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, you focus on short cycle crops, so things like chili, brinjal, ginger, lettuce, nothing like oil palm or rubber and so forth.
No.
And what is the typical cycle when you say short cycle?
I think anything that's below 6 months will definitely fall under short cycle.
Okay.
We have tried modeling for crops that are slightly longer, up to 9 months. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on the cost structure of growing that crop. So I think usually 6 to 9 months will be the max.
So if it's this young person or this fresh graduate who's got an agricultural degree and they come to you, what sort of out-of-pocket expenses would they have to start off with, and what would be the returns to them as they start to work on a plot?
Yeah. We like to say out of pocket would be zero, but essentially it's like renting a condo. When you rent a condo, you pay some security deposit, right? So likewise, all our entrepreneurs are required to out of pocket 3 months of rental security deposit of the cost of that space that they rent from us. But this is a form of a security deposit. So at the end of their lease, say 3 or 5 years, if there's nothing wrong with the spaces, they actually can take it back. So that, if you ask us, will be the only one mandatory out of pocket for the entrepreneurs if they have sufficient cash to bankroll their first working cycle capital, which is anywhere from 80,000 RM to 120,000 for short cycle cash crops. They are free to bankroll themselves, that they don't have to take a loan from Fefifo. That reduces the loan, that removes the loan installment from their monthly recurring, which actually does significantly or meaningfully improve the profitability of their crop. So I would say this will be the two out of pocket, so to speak. Everything else is actually part and parcel of the services that we provide, and from their perspective, they pay two things that are very relatable to farmers. One, rental, what we call farm space as a service, which is a monthly recurring cost. Two, after every harvest, we profit share with them. So because we focus on short cycle cash crop, it is between 2 to 5 times of profit sharing per year.
Okay, and how does in terms of their factor inputs and all that, so your fertilizer and additional labor and things like that, do you provide them help with that, or how does that work? Utilities, water, etc.
Absolutely. So what we do when we curate a particular crop, we build a crop model around this crop. So we define not just the growing protocol of this crop, we define everything, the number of workers that you need, the cycle of that crop on the first cycle, the ongoing cycles, the full list of agri inputs that an agripreneur needs to buy on a normal basis, and also if there are problems. All of that are part of the growing model, and we have already calculated very clearly what is the full crop cycle cost that these agripreneurs have to pay, and that is the amount that money that they first have to bring into Fefifo or take a loan from us. After which the cycle upon cycle returns is able to support them cycle on cycle going forwards. So to answer your question, clearly, yes, we define the full list of agri inputs that they need to buy. We have really prescribed what they need to buy, how much they need to buy. And through our DDFN platform, they just simply submit their request.
Okay. There are a lot of folks, myself included at some point, that realize that they want to get involved in agriculture, but they have no experience. Is this an opportunity, because it's co-farming, that you could be an absentee farmer? So in other words, you hire you hire a laborer to work on it, and then you go in and check on it on the weekends and things like that.
No, absolutely not. Farming is a very hands-on work. I think there are many people who have tried, and likely some in your audience as well, that you have a bit of spare cash, and you may have plots of land, that you have acquired in the past, that you have an idea that let's get someone that knows how to build a greenhouse, hire a farmer, take care of the land for me, and I'll just sit back and enjoy. I have not heard of many cases which have done that and enjoyed sustained, success. And it's still a going concern right now. Farming is a real hands-on job that you need to personally be very involved, not just in managing your crop performance, your workers, troubleshooting problems on your land plot. So this is an opportunity for people who may not have had experience growing commercially before, or totally no experience in agriculture, to get into this space, but not as a passive income, as a career, as a job.
Okay. Actually, something you take note, right? When they join our farm spaces, they are actually their own business owners. So they're expected to run a business. So if you're running your own business as an entrepreneur, it's not meant to sit back and relax and then hire a manager to run your business. So that's the mindset that we're looking for. The attitude that we are looking for agripreneur is that of an entrepreneur. So it's not an absentee farmer kind of a mindset.
Gentlemen, one of the things that is clear through our conversation so far is the fact that you've thought through the processes, you've run the numbers, you've talked about technology, but could you kind of highlight to us the role that technology plays in all of this beyond just that modeling?
Absolutely. In fact, even the modeling is really done on our digital platform. So our digital platform, we call it DDFN, decentralized, digitalized farming network. So what it does essentially are several layers. So there is two parts of this digital platform. One is a back office function, which our admin people use, and the other is a mobile component where our agripreneurs are required to use. So at the back end, what DDFN does mainly is to help us model these crops easily, so that we know every aspect, every cost, and every revenue line from growing this crop, how profitable it is, and we are able to simulate its P&L for 3 to 5 years, for example. It also helps us develop our digital growing protocols. So these crop models and this digital growing protocols serves as that baseline, which standardizes and automates the entire seed to sale process for our agripreneurs who uses the mobile app. So an agripreneur who flicks on his mobile app will have a wallet. It shows its earmark balance, This balance is a digital balance, and the money is actually safeguarded in our bank. They can't just run away with it. They use that digital balance to buy the inputs that we suggest, to pay the workers at the amount that the model allows. They use the mobile app to also assess the digital instructions they are to follow on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis. They use the digital app again to record their harvest, and we have built all kinds of risk controls and thresholds in it, such that if they deviate away from these processed thresholds, people get alerted, and we have agronomists or crop experts in our co-farms that will work closely with them. Now, the last part of what DDFN does for us is that it allows us to manage a decentralized network of agripreneurs. So we could have 20 acres of co-farm in Perak, 20 acres of Selangor, 20 acres maybe in Indonesia, here and there. We are able to, at one place, centrally be able to consolidate all the input purchase requirements from across all our agripreneurs and help to execute those purchases in bulk so that we can get the best prices. It also helps us to consolidate the harvest across all these networks to be able to manage logistics, manage billing and accounting on behalf of these agripreneurs to a guaranteed buyer. So DDFN is effectively the secret sauce for co-farming to work. Without co-farms, without DDFN, we will not be able to manage a whole distributed network of agripreneurs.
Yeah, that's why we call it a seed to sale platform. So literally from the day you buy your first seed until you sell your harvest for recurring for the next day one until the end of your contract, let's say 3 or 5 years, you're using DDFN on your mobile as an agripreneur standpoint. You're using your mobile app like an operating system. You're operating a business on your mobile app. We're collecting the data from seed to sale across the entire commercial business lah.
We like to say that we are building a platform that allows you to play real life Farmville. Literally move your characters here, grow corn, grow tomato, grow whatever, harvest, sell, and then you have a wallet to see all your coins.
Okay, so that's a shout out to all the fans of Farmville. But from fans of Farmville to what you have on the ground today. So last year you raised an equity crowdfunding round, and then you went out and leased some land. Tell us about that and where you are at exactly in terms of your execution.
Okay, I think it starts with we signed the contract for the tenancy or the lease on January. January this year. So it's been 8 months in. No, I was 10th month already. On the 8th month is where we put our first seed into the tray, in the nursery. So that's our journey for this plot of land in the beginning of the year. So in between all that, MCO3 happened. So that's where what me and Chris like to call a lot of mobility friction slowed our progress down. Because as an essential service, we do have the capabilities to travel interstate, to do a lot of things, right? Because we are essential service. But a lot of people in our supply chain, they are not. Now, I want to buy furniture for the agripreneurs who cannot, because it's not an essential service, right? Or we build a cabin that, the agripreneurs are staying in cabins on ground, on farm. It cannot be transported to the farm site until the phase 2 or relax MCO or CMCO, because it will be held in the factory until it's open. That's the kind of mobility friction that we were facing. Anything to add, Chris, our journey this year?
I suppose I want to maybe just take a little step back. We started our company in 2019, right? We bootstrapped a little bit ourselves, and we got 1 or 2 friends and family to give us a little bit of investment. And that was the time when we were really figuring out what Fefifo was about, what the model was supposed to do, what the technology needs to be done. And then came the crowd equity funding, which was a great success. With that, we had enough money to really build the digital platform that we envisioned, and also to start, getting a physical farm built and all. That kind of dovetailed with what Kelveen said about the timing. We signed it early Jan. We signed the lease early Jan. We anticipate about 4 months really for us to fully build the pilot co-farm, but it took us about 6 to 7 because of the mobility issues that we had for COVID. Right now, out of the 10-acre pilot co-farm, we have 5 acre worth of operational space, whereby 2 agripreneurs have already started growing. We anticipate our first melon harvest to happen by December, and the first chili harvest to be around February, March. And during this period, we will be, basically building up to the other 5 acre of co-farm spaces and getting another 3 to 4 agripreneurs to join the space. Meanwhile, we take this time to really iron out issues with our operations, to straighten out kinks, as well as in our digital platform.
Yeah. So our first 2 agripreneurs will be giving a lot of feedback on this pilot operations so that we can refine our operations.
And you've just raised another round of money, just over 3 million Singapore dollars. Tell us about that and how you're going to deploy the capital.
Oh, actually, that's the one that we just mentioned, is to deploy for the remaining 10 acres. So what we have raised previously was enough for our first 5 acre as a pilot operations. So with this new amount that's in, is planned for the remaining 5 acres, which we have a total of 10 acres worth of operational space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also to build out our team capacity, mostly in the technology space, and also to pursue licensing opportunities, which as we get more and more well known.
So tell us about the licensing opportunity. So that's obviously another revenue model.
Absolutely.
From your key technology. So essentially, you and correct me if I'm wrong, is that then and that's where the scalability of this business comes in. You license your technology and your know-how cross geography.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Correct.
So that one we envision a little bit like a franchising kind of a model. So you imagine you have a co-farm as a showcase. People look at it, they understand what you need to do, including the technology layer. So together we'll be licensing as a we call it co-farming licensing. So as an operator, you have access to our technology as well as supply chain, and as well as a market access across, because that's what the one thing that's important to a lot of agripreneurs or operators of farms. So that is what we can envision. And even at this current moment, there's a lot of strong demand. While we are building our pilot co-farm, we have a lot of interest on licensing it already. So we are currently working.
Is that in Malaysia alone or out of Malaysia?
We're focusing on Malaysia. We got some interest in different parts of the world, but
we're not ready to entertain those conversations as of yet.
Yeah, so we're focused on Malaysian market at the moment.
Right.
So once that's picked up, then we are able to have a stronger playbook to lift and shift to other markets when we enter.
Chandra, one of the key things that when I was researching this interview and researching agri-tech as a whole, in some markets, the sexier version of what you're doing is vertical farming. And because that allows you to farm as much in urban spaces and also intensively farm upwards. Could I have your insights into why you perhaps didn't select that modus operandi?
Sure. In fact, yeah, you're not wrong. When we talk about agri-tech, most times people think about the very sexy stuff, right? The vertical farming that you just mentioned. You've got all the IoT plays. You've got the alternative proteins, etc. There's a lot more, but they're a lot more sexy than co-farming, for example. The reason why we decided that outside of very dense cities like, for example, Singapore, that a co-farming model would be more suitable is really because of a few reasons. Now, number one, if you compare vertical farming and co-farming, for example, there is a baseline Agtech which we all use. Things like greenhouse, things like fertigation systems or hydroponic systems. There is no essential difference between or meaningful difference between vertical farms and co-farms as we defined it. So these baseline Agtech is actually what gives that 10 times, in terms of yield, in terms of consistency, in terms of reliability. The difference between co-farm and vertical farms will be that usually vertical farms, they are within a city. They incur urban real estate prices. They incur electricity because very often it's indoors. It has to be aircon. You have to have grow lights. So that's at a different cost level. As a result, vertical farming tend to have to focus on very premium crops for very premium customers. Co-farming, on the other hand, does not require to do so.
Actually, you look at our business model, right? The origin starts from helping a smallholder farmer. So with that, right, you can't really imagine a smallholder farmer going to the city to use that kind of technology. We're trying to bring it out to them and try to improve their livelihood. That's one of the main social mission that we have from Fefifo.
And most importantly, if you look outside of Singapore, within the broader Southeast Asia, most countries don't have issues with land.
Yes.
Yeah, the issue is not about the limitation of land. The issue is about utilization of land. A lot of agri land is just there. It is in its original form. Landowners do not want to put in the kind of investment to get it to a level where people can just easily start and operate a farm. That is the biggest issue for most part of Southeast Asia. And if you add that to the huge rural population that actually depends on agriculture for a livelihood, the conditions for co-farming in terms of scalability is a lot larger than, say, focusing on an urban setting and doing vertical farming. Such infrastructure, such technology, and such business models are important for small countries like Singapore, where for food sustainability and security purposes, they need to invest in that kind of technology so that there's some kind of a buffer for themselves.
Yes.
So all these other neighbors around Singapore, the most top of mind, so-called from the government standpoint, right, is to improve to modernize the rural population in terms of the farming methods and technology, increase the productivity and efficacy of rural farming. That's what we are focused on also.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, gentlemen, it's been a fascinating conversation, but before we leave, would either one of you like to add any of your final thoughts?
I think that co-farming as a concept is novel. That just only very recently are we getting to a point where we don't have to spend the first 45 minutes talking about what co-farming is. It's potential in terms of being able to democratize commercial type of farming infrastructure practices and benefit this huge, large bottom 40 of the income pyramid. In our perspective, is huge. And as we get more and more established in terms of the value that we provide, not just to the agripreneurs, to investors, and more importantly, also landowners, we're hoping to see a time where all these people come together. Landlords will be willing to co-invest in their own land to get it up to speed. Agripreneurs already know what the value is, investors know what the value is, and we see that the time where co-farming is going to take off exponentially within the next 1.5 to 2 years time, and we really want to ride on that right now.
If I could add to that, I think personally I appreciate and thank and very grateful to all those earlier investors or people who have trust in this concept of co-farming and have gotten us to this point. So like, for example, RHL, Quest Ventures, Scale Up Malaysia, Eco Impact, they really believe in what we do and has helped us to reach to this point where we can, it's a very exciting year ahead, where we can really hopefully explode co-farming into the region. So this is what I think my last thoughts are. I really want to thank those that have supported us all the while.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
So
yeah.
We've been speaking to Kelveen So and Chris Fong of Fefifo on Biztech's Startup Show. This video will be on our various social media platforms as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thanks again for tuning in.